So in today's lecture we are going to discuss about FTP, that is file transfer protocol. So this is the protocol at application layer which is used standard protocol by TCP/IP for copying the file from one host to other host. That means in LAN, when you are copying with each other, or from you are uploading your file to the server or downloading your file from the server or any other remote terminal. So this is a one kind of FTP where you copy the files from one host to another host, and this happens through the protocol, standard protocol called as a file transfer protocol, and its abbreviation is FTP. So two systems may have a different directory structures, or it may have a different type of data representation, or different file name abbreviations or conventions are there. So that is also quite possible. Then in that case this FTP will help you to communicate with each other. So the file structure used by different systems are different, the structures are different, the names are different, the abbreviations are different, then still they are able to communicate with each other. So all these problems have been solved by the FTP in simple and elegant approach. So FTP differs from other client server applications. It is not a client server type of application. It is little bit different from client server application. It establishes the two connections between the hosts, between the two hosts. So one connection is for data transfer and other connection is for control transfer or control information. So data transfer and control information. So data transfer, actually data you are transferring, and control information is for command and responses. Now FTP uses the two well-known TCP ports. So port 21 is used for control connection and port 20 is used for data connection. So these are the TCP ports used for this type of two connections. Port 21 is used for control connection and port 20 is used for data connection. So this is how generally FTP structure looks like. Here it is your local file system or your local hard drive, you can consider that, hard disk you can consider, of your PC, which is connected through this user interface, control process, and data transfer is there. And for server there are two types of data transfers only, control process and data transfer process is there. So here you can see that this is a user interface where actually your application programs are there, through which you will be able to communicate with these two processes, or you are able to get the access of these two processes, and through that you will be able to fetch the data or upload the data or download the data. That means the file transfer is possible. So this is what the generalized structure of the FTP. So in a client you can see that there are three units: user interface, control process, and data data transfer process. In server there is control process and data transfer process, and these are the two connections between the client and the server. So in client and server you are directly communicating, but here you are required two processes for this purpose. So client and the client has three components: user interface, client process, and data transfer process, and the server has two components: control process and data transfer process. So how actually the FTP works, let us try to understand it. First, the separation of the command and the data transfer makes the FTP more efficient as compared to other processes. So these two processes are separated out, that's why the FTP becomes more efficient. The control connection uses a very simple rules of communication, and the data connection, it is more complex as compared to control connection. Why? Because the data is varied in different types. The file formats are different, the file structures are different, the abbreviations are different, extensions are different. That's why this data connection is is more complex as compared to control connection. Now the control connection remains connected during the entire FTP session. That means for the whole entire session, that means when you start the connection, establish the connection and transfers the file data and terminate the connection, during this entire session this control connections remains connected. And FTP data connection, it may be opened or closed many times whenever you want to transfer the file. So each time you want to transfer the data or transfer the files, you need to open the this data connection, and whenever the file transfers gets completed, you have to close that one. And this may happen many times during the entire session. So for this entire session, the control session will be continuously on. So how the control connection is taking place? So communication is achieved through the command and response. First you have to give the command and the response will be there from the server. So the simple method is adequate for the control connection because we send the command at a time or we send the response at a time. So it is a simplex method we can consider. So during this control connection, the commands are sent from client to server and responses are from server to client. So this is what actually the connection takes place. So that means if I put server over here, this is a client, so I'll write it a client as a this one C, and this is a server. So command is from client to server, so this is a command, and the response is from server to receiver, so this is a response from server to client. So every FTP command generates its at least one response. So that means for every command there is one response, and a response has two parts. So it may be represented in 3-digit number followed by a text. So what this digit indicates, let us try to understand. So the numeric parts defines the code and the text part defines the parameters or the further explanation. So in 3 digits, so digit 1, let us consider that digit 1, it indicates, it defines the status of the command. Digit 2 will indicate, it defines in which state it is applied, and the digit 3 gives you the additional information, and after that there is a text followed by this one. So this is how a response is there for each command. So these are the commands and responses that we are going to see it afterwards. So this is the FTP command and response. Let us try to understand. So these are the simple commands that are used for FTP. So these are sent on ASCII text or the control channel. So user is the command and you have to give the username. So this is the command, this is the command, and this is what you are supposed to provide the information. Then pass is the next command, you are supposed to give the password. List is the command for identifying the directory. So whenever you are going to list, so that list is displayed over here, so you can easily find it in your Windows operating system also. Then this is the return, it will retrieve the file name, it gives you the file name. So whenever you are searching a file name by certain extension, you will be able to find this information. So these type of commands are utilized for storing up the file onto a remote host. You will be requiring STOR type of command, and the written responses are in the format of the status code or a phrase as used in HTTP is 331 username OK, password required. So username is there, then it should go for a password and its code is 331 and username is OK. Okay, so this is how the response is for the username. This is what the response is for this type of command. Username is OK, now password is required. Now 125 data connection is, if this is what the response is, 125 is the response code is there, then data connection is already open, transfer starting. That means already you have established the connection and now you need to transfer the 425 can't open the data connections. So this type of commands and responses you are getting. So error 404, this kind of error you will be getting most of the time on internet when you are not able to find a particular file from the server. Then in that case you are able to get such kind of errors. You just go through it, you just try it on in the net and you will find such kind of server 404 or many times server not found. So these kind of responses you will be getting, and these kind of responses are because of this kind of FTP. So error writing file, whenever there is a error in writing the file on the server or another servers from the client, or then you will be getting a 52 type of error. So these are the errors you will be getting, and how the data connection gets established. So the creation of the data connection is different from control connection. So you know that control connection, it simply uses the command and the response, but in data connection, because of file size, then file type, directory structure, and the file structure, the file extensions or abbreviations, because of that the data connection is different from the control connection. The following steps are utilized for this one. How the data connection takes place: the client, not the server, issues a passive open using Imperial port. So we have already seen the port 21 and port 20 are utilized for this type of application. So this must be done by the client because it is the client that issues the command for transferring the file. So first it issues a command for transferring file, then using a port command the client sends the port number to the server. So the port is informed, the server receives the port number and issues the active open using well-known port 20 and received empirical port number. So port 21 will issue the command and port 20 will be opened, and thereafter the client must define the type of the file to be transferred. So you should be able to know what kind of file you are transferring. So you should know the type of file, whether it is a text file, whether it is a image, whether it is a video, whether it is a sound. So all these types you should be able to know it, and you should be able to do it by 3 modes. First, you should be able to know the file type, then you should be able to know the data structure, what kind of file type, whether you will be using a ASCII or EBCD DIC file or image file or video file or sound file. So these are the different file types, so you should know it. Then what kind of data structure, whether it is a file structure, whether it is a record structure or a page structure. So this kind of information you should also know it. And the transmission mode, you should know it, whether you will be transmitting it stream by stream, or whether you are transmitting it in a block mode, or whether you are transmitting in a compress mode. So most of the times when you are transmitting the images or videos or sounds, you are transmitting in a compress mode. Okay, so these are the examples you have already seen, and the JPG file or PNG, all these files already comes in a compressed format. So most of the times JPG format is preferred to transfer the image file. Why? Because it is in compress mode, so the data requirement will be obviously less. So for that purpose you should know what kind of compress mode it is. So depending on that you can establish your data connection and you can transfer the files. So this is how you are transferring the data files. Okay, now we'll be moving towards the generalized structure, how exactly the file transfer takes place. So through this process you can understand. So initially what happens, a server will send the message, okay, the service is ready. So client will send a user information, so user will be sent, it will send okay, user is okay, send the password, then client will send a password, then password if it is okay, then it will send 230, user login is okay, and you will get a connection, or else it will simply here only in this process only you have to be there unless and until you type a correct username or password, otherwise you will not get the access. So most of the time you have experienced this kind of structure whenever you are logging into the any server. Then if user is okay, so this command is 230 command is there, then it will start for a port, it will give you the port number, then it will give you the response of 150 data connection opens shortly, and after that which kind of file type you are sending, that type you have to mention, then it will send the response 200 okay, I am ready, then it will send a command stru, or then again it will send a command response to this one. So this is how you will be getting a command and response, and so this is how exactly once the connection gets established, then at that time the whole data will get transferred from server to client or client to server, and after that you need to end the connection. So it will send that closing the data connection, so response will be quit, okay, then it will again say the services are closing, and this is how your FTP takes place, file transfer takes place. So initially you need to establish the connection, user login, password, port, then file type and other informations that are required. So it will return the path and everything, and after that your file gets transferred, and after that you need to end the connection. So this is how you can establish the connection using FTP. So there are certain FTP issues associated with it. So what are those? Multiple connections are used. For each directory listing and file transmissions, multiple connections are used. So no integrity check at the receiving end. So integrity is not checked at the receiving end. So messages are sent in a clear text including password and file content. So it is vulnerable to the security purposes or hacking. So it can be sniffed by the hackers. So the solution is a secure FTP, that is SSH FTP is also there. So that comes with this one, that is a secure socket layer, and FTPS type of FTP is there with a secured environment, which provides you the encryption techniques so that your passwords or your username should not be hacked. So these are the issues, and this is the solution for that one. So a secured FTP is there, SSH FTP is there, or the FTP over secure socket layer is also there, which provides you the transport layer security encryption. So this will allow you to transfer the files securely. So with that we came to the end of FTP. Now we'll be moving towards a next protocol associated with the application layer, or the next application that is most widely used is email or electronic mail. So you are familiar with this concept, you are using this one, but we will try to understand what kind of structure it is having, or what kind of how it works exactly. Let us try to understand it. So electronic mails allows the user to exchange the messages such as text, images, sound, videos, or other files of format files. So you are able to send it. So this you can directly put the image in body message body also, or you can send it as a separate attachment also. So you are familiar with this concept. I'll not explain it. It is widely used today. So without email now, in this situation of pandemic COVID, so whatever maybe the communication is happening through this email mostly. And nowadays it is widely used. It is simple and easy to use. So general architecture of the email system includes three main components: user agent, message transfer agent, and message access agent. Okay, so we will see it in detail once we proceed. Okay, so first understand what are the advantages and disadvantages of email. So the main advantages of emails are, it is much cheaper than the telephone. So previously whenever you want to transfer the data, then or your regular postal services also, it is much cheaper than that one. So you can send the data with a low cost. It is different types of data can be transmitted. This is the main advantage. So you can transmit the data with a different types. That is the advantage of this one. It is much faster than the postal services. So if you drop a letter in a post box, it will take near about 3 to 4 days depending on the distance. Okay, or minimum 1 day or 24 hours if it is within city. But the mail is much more faster, email is much more faster than the postal services. User can filter the incoming mails. So for telephones it is not possible, or simply you ignore it in case of telephones. But if it is a generalized telephone, now in mobile it is possible, you can filter it out incoming calls, but previously it was not possible. So in email it is possible to filter the emails, so you can delete the emails directly if it is the email is from, it is not important for you, or if it is a spam mail, then in that case you can use a spam type of services and you can easily filter out the emails. It reduces the burden on real mail room. So obviously then it is more secure than the traditional method, as it is an encrypted one. Services are also provided, so you can use it in a secured manner than the traditional methods. It is relatively easy to send it to the group of people. So whenever you are taking a file and you are sending a file to a number of people, then in that case if it is a generalized postal services, then that many number of copies you have to produce it. But here you can create a group, and through this group, a group of mail, it will be directly sent immediately. So it is easy to send to the group of people. So this is the best example. Whenever we are sending you the me email, then through this email we'll be directly communicating. Simply we'll write only one email address, and that email address will send the messages to the group of people that are associated with that email ID. So it is possible to determine whether the recipient has actually read the message. So you will come to know that whether the message has been sent or not. So you can easily see the message sent type of response or acknowledgement you are getting, and you'll be there are other responses are also there. that settings you need to do it in your email settings. And there are certain disadvantages associated with the email. First one, the people stopped using the telephone or other services, postal services. It cannot be used as a legal document. So this is one of the disadvantage of this one. The electronic mail messages can be sent impulsively and may be later regretted. So it may happen that we can send it very impulsively, and after sending the message, once it has been sent and once it has been reached to that person, will regret it. I should not send this. The message I have written is not the proper way I have written. I should have sent it like this. So again you have to apologize, and again you have to rewrite the second email and apologize for the first email. But in case of postal services, this is not possible. So before sending it, you can again check it and you can send it. So this is one of the disadvantages. So and not everyone reads their electronic mails on regular basis, and this is happening with you people also. So most of the times the faculty members are sending the important mails, and you see it after 2 days, 3 days, or most of the times you say that, so I have not seen the mail and sorry sir, like that. So it happens. So everybody is not reading the mail on regular basis, but if you are in a working environment, or if you are an employee of a particular organization, then day to day you have to check your mails. So that is also a kind of practice you need to follow. Okay, so these are the generalized advantages and disadvantages of email. Now we will see how actually a common scenario looks like. So this is how actual email service looks like. So this is a user agent which is associated with your terminal. So let us call it as a user 1 as a Alice and user 2 as a Bob. Okay, so these are the two different users, Alice and Bob. They want to communicate with each other through email. So Alice is using a terminal, and this terminal is associated with the user agent. Now this user agent is connected to the, because this is a client. Okay, this is a client, this is also a client. So when this is connected with the MTA client, what is MTA? That is a message transfer agent, and MAA is a message access agent. So this Alice wants to send a mail to Bob, then it will communicate with the MTA agent and it will transfer the data to the, or email to the server through the MTA. Then MTA server will be there. Then this MTA server, there will be a spool that will store the messages from the different resources, and this will be a store and forward type of service, and this will be sent to MTA client, and MTA client, which is a part of this mail server of client side, it will get communicated with the internet, and at receiving end this MTA server will try to find it, and MTA server, it is a message transfer agent, still it is a in transfer process, so it will try to find out for whom this message is meant for. So if it is meant for a Bob, then it will try to find out the box of Bob, and the mail will be transferred to Bob's box, that is called as a mailbox. This box is called as a mailbox, and through this mailbox, again it is associated with the mail access agent. So now the Bob is server supposed to access the email from his mailbox. Okay, so that's why it is called as a mail access. So the mail access will get through with this one, and the Bob, since it is having a separate unit, so a separate user agent is there, and through this user agent the Bob will be able to access the email through this email MAA server and MAA client. So this is how actually the email gets transferred from client to client, or client to server, or server to, like that one. But most of the time it is between the two clients. So the mail servers are utilized. So there are different scenarios are possible, different scenarios. So this is a common scenario nowadays you can see in your regular life, in day-to-day activities. This is the generalized scenario for email. Okay, now the scenario 1 is there. The scenario 1 is there. So when a sender and the receiver of the email are on the same system, that means the best example is that whenever you want to send a copy to yourself, whenever you want to send a copy to yourself, this is the best example we can take. What will happen? Only you will be requiring 2 user agent, or whenever I am sending a Gmail to Gmail, Gmail to Gmail. So what will happen? Because of that you will be requiring only 2 user agents. You will not require any information, or this is a internal type of communication, that also you may call it as a. Okay, so this is directly connected to a shared system. A mailbox is a part of local hard drive, and it is a special file with a permission restriction. So it is a intranet, you may call it as a. This is not a internet, it is a intranet. So within a net, a mailbox is there, and you are sending the mail to your client. So this is the best example. I am sending you the mail from college server to you, and you are also associated with the college server. So you will be getting the information on the same system. This is the scenario 1. That's why you will be getting the immediate information. So this is similar to the traditional memo exchange between the employees of the office. So there is a mail room. So this mail room is on the server or of your net or intranet, and through that you will be accessing your mailbox. Okay, now the scenario 2 is there. The scenario 2. In first scenario, both the systems or both the clients are on same system. Now scenario 2 is what? When a sender and the receiver of the email are on different systems. Now you are in one system and the sender is in other system. That means you are a separate user and the sender is a separate user. Now I am trying to send you, please read it as a UA. So read it as a UA. So the sender is on 2 systems. So what kind of structure you will be requiring? You will be requiring 2 UAs, that is 2 user agents, and a pair of MTA will be required. And a pair of MTA will be required. Only MTA will be required. Okay. So the 2 message transfer agents are needed, one for a client and one for a server. And the server needs to run all the time because it does not know when the client will ask for a connection. So server will be continuously on. So that is quite possible. So here it is the best example. I'll say that you'll be directly communicating with the Gmail server. You'll be directly communicating with the Gmail server. Is it happening that Gmail server gets down? No. Right? So Gmail server is continuously on, but you are not continuously on. So whenever you require a services, you ask for the connection, and through remote login, you will get logged in to the server and you will access your mailbox. So this is the best example of this scenario 2. Okay. The client, on the other hand, can be alerted by the system when there is a message in a queue to be sent. Okay, so you will get such kind of messages whenever there is a queue. Now the scenario 3 is there. The third scenario is there. What is that third scenario? The third scenario is when the sender is connected to the mail server via LAN or WAN. That means initially an individual system is connected to the server directly. Now you are not directly connected to the server, you are connected to the server through LAN. Now what you will be requiring? So you will be requiring 2 UAs and 2 pairs of MTAs. So this is a client server type of structure. That means through LAN you will be trying to access the email. Through LAN you are trying to access the email. So you will be requiring 2 UAs, 2 user agents and 2 message transfer agents. And the final scenario is both the senders and the receivers are connected through server and via LAN or WAN. So you will be requiring 2 UAs, 2 pairs of MTAs and a pair of MAA. So this is what we have seen a common scenario in a previous lecture. So this is what we have seen. So you can see here, this is what exactly we had discussed about the scenario 4. So here you can see that 2 servers are there, 2 MTA pairs are there, 2 MTA pairs are there. So 2 MTA pairs are there, 1 MAA pair is there and 2 UAs are there, right? So this is how a generalized common scenario is there, and nowadays this common scenario is utilized where you will be trying to communicate with each other. Okay, so we'll try to understand what exactly the user agent is. So user agent is where the client is actually communicating with the user agent. The client directly the client is not allowed to communicate directly with the MTA or MAA, right? So user agent is there which will help you to communicate with the MTA and MAA. So it provides the services to the user to make the process of sending and receiving the messages easier. So user agent is a software package so that composes, reads, replies and forwards the messages. So it is just like your email that you are using. So email facilities that you are using, Gmail or Yahoo Mail or Rediff Mail or any other mail system you are using. So these are the examples of this user agent, and this user agent will help you to compose the email. It will help you to read the email, it will help you to reply the email, it will help you to forward the email also, and it also handles the mailbox. So you are able to filter the messages as a spam or as a very important messages, or you can star the messages like that one. So these are the facilities available in the mailboxes, and you can easily handle the mailboxes. So user agent will help you to come up with such kind of services that are available. So user agent will be providing you the service of composing the messages. So whenever you are composing the message, so you know how you are composing the message. So you simply send a message to whom, from, that means the email ID or email addresses you need to mention. Then you are mentioning the subject, and then you directly come to the body, and after that there is a button, you want to send it, you send it. Okay, so this is a composing body message, and we will call it as an envelope and message. So message contains the header and the body. So you compose the message in such a way that, so when it is a reading, then listing is there. So in your inbox you are able to see from whom the message has come, and from the subject you will be able to understand whether it is an important or whether it is a simply different kinds of ads, or it is the stuff you don't require it, or it is a simply bulk message. So that message, if you don't want to read it, you can simply unsubscribe it, or you simply so this reading of message, simply you click on that inbox message and you are able to read the message. So you will be able to understand from whom you have received the message, when it is sent, at what date and at what time it has been sent, and what is the subject of that mail, and who are the other recipients and what is the message of that one, and what are, if any attachments are there, or if any message is there in the format of attachment, you are also able to download it. Okay, then there are replying to the messages type of services are also available, so you can directly reply. So when your this facility is available in Gmail also, so you can directly give the reply. So if you are not using the email for the next 3-4 days, and if you are on a tour, or if you are on a other your holidays, then in that case you can type a message, and this message will automatically reply to the messages that are incoming is. So this kind of replying is also possible. So most of the time nowadays you can see such kind of facilities that are available with the emails, and this task is completed by a user agent. Now you can forward the messages, and you can handle the mailboxes are also possible. So this is how you are transferring the message or email from one client to other client, and this user agent will help you in that. Now we'll try to understand how exactly the email format is. So this is the first block, shows you the postal address. The first block, this is the postal address, the postal mail. So you put it in an envelope. On the envelope you write the whole address of the recipient and the whole address of the sender. Okay, then you have to paste a ticket of appropriate value, and then you can send it through the post office. Then inside you will be writing a message, then the subject, and then whatever may be the information is there, or the text is there that you want to communicate, and yours truly. So from whom you are sending it, to whom, and you can see that the letter is sent from this 4,000 to Shen, William Shen, and here you can see that this is the sender's name. So this is the generalized letter format we have already following. So this is a generalized post mail. Now instead of this local address, instead of local physical address, now email address are set. So this is called as an envelope. So mail from whom, the Frozen's email ID is there. So this is the Frozen's email ID. So sender's ID is there, and recipient's email ID is also there. So whenever you are putting this information and you are sending your email, so this information is there. So from whom this email ID is there, to whom it is mentioned, the date is mentioned, the time is also some of the time it is mentioned, then what is the subject, then this information comes as a body part. So I'll call it as a header part, and I'll call it as a body part. So body part contains the actual information, and the header part contains who has sent, when it is sent, what is the subject, and so on. So this is the part of header. So the format you can do it. So we are going to see the two formats also related to the email in next slides. Okay, so this is how the generalized email format is there, and you are familiar with this kind of formats. Okay, now what is envelope? So envelope usually contains the sender and the receiver's address. The message contains the header and the body. So the header of the message defines the sender and the receiver and the subject of the message. The header message defines the sender, receiver, and the subject message. So most of the time is also included in that. The body of the message contains the actual information to be read by the recipient. Now the addresses, how exactly the addresses are mentioned. So to deliver the email, you should have an email ID, right? We will call it as an email ID. So instead of that, it is called as the email address. So email address is nothing but email ID. So that email ID you need to define it. And how you are going to define it? So this is how the email address or email ID looks like. So it contains a local part and a domain name. It contains a local part and a domain name. So what is a local part? So it is a mailbox address. it is a mailbox address. So it is just like a mailbox address. So that mailbox address may be by your name, it may be by the company's name, it may be by the name of the organization head, or like that, right? Or it may be a customer care type of services. So this is the example. So I'll write it as my own example. I'll say that this is my email ID. So I'll write it my email ID like this, Anup Vibhute. So this is my email box which is available on the server. So I'll write it as a about, or at, domain name is gmail.com. So my server name is gmail.com. So this is how I am explaining my email address. So a local address or a local port is nothing but a mail address of the recipient, and this at is the essential part, and after that whatever may be the follows, that follows the domain name. So your mailbox is present on which server, that is told by the domain name. Okay, so this is how you will be proceeding with the email. Now this is the message format that is available. So you will be sending to, then if you want to send it as a secondary recipient, or if you want to send it as a blind carbon copies, so you can try it on your email. So one copy can be sent to your authorities or your friends, or to whom you want to notify that the message has been sent or email has been sent. Then you can put it as a secondary recipient instead of a direct recipient. So direct recipient is the main to whom you want to send it, and the secondary recipient to whom you want to inform about the communication, you can put their names in secondary recipient, and the blind copy you can put it for the person to whom you want to put it in a blind copy format or carbon copy format. Then from whom the message is sent, that has been created, the sender email address I see is also added to that one. So this is the generalized message format. Received and return path is also there, but most of the time we are familiar with these three. So whenever you are writing your email, you are familiar with the first three one. Okay, and RFC 822 standard is utilized for email standard, and through that standard you are able to find this kind of messages. And at receiving end, so most of the time you may add the date and reply to email ID, or in reply to references, keywords and subject. So this is the additional one. This is the another message format that is available with RFC 822. So as I said earlier, this is the three main important headers that you need to add it, and automatically the date and the time gets added by the sender. Okay, so with that we will end the lecture here, and we'll stop here.